my God, it's early. Well, good morning everyone, and it is morning too. It's 7 AM Saturday morning. I thought I would do something today that I've not done for a long time, and that's get up early on a weekend and go for a nice long ride before the roads get too busy, because in the northwest of the UK it's just, there's very few quiet roads anymore, and Saturday, like it is today, is no less busy than any other day of the week except for Sunday. I would have liked to have done this tomorrow, but the weather forecast is poor, so, and it's coming to the sort of close of the biking weather now, so I thought I might as well do it while I can and just try and get some miles in on this brand new back tyre, the new RS10 I've put on the back of the R1. I wanted to hopefully try and make the tyre last until the end of the season, but it was not to be. I pushed it to 1900 miles and it was, yeah, it was pretty illegal for the last couple of hundred of those, I've got to say. So there's about another month left of riding in the UK on this bike at least anyway, so I thought, bugger it, get a new tyre on it. Ooh. Oh, dead hedgehog, shame. Anyway, I should really have done this earlier in the year, when it's in the middle of summer, when it gets light at like 4:30 in the morning in the UK. However, it's 7 AM now, still on British summertime, but it's just starting to come light, as you can probably just about make out on the camera. What I thought I'd talk about today is a bit of an epilogue to my year of track day fun that I've been having. Now, I went to Silverstone last week with my matey Andy, and it was a phenomenally good day. I took my 2007 R1, my track bike, and it was outstanding. But have a big guess at which idiot low rent video blogger forgot to take his cameras. Yep, bloody well me, wasn't it? So unfortunately I didn't capture the day. And isn't it typical when it's like your best one, your fastest one, and it's like, oh, you should have seen me go, I was railing corners, I was braking late, I was trail braking into corners like mad. Oh yeah, did you? No, let's see the evidence of this. Oh, I don't have any. Well, I kind of do, in so much that my matey Andy, he had his cameras on his bike, and in the bottom of the description I will put a series of links up, and he's been very kind to upload, to have them as unlisted so that I can link them and people can view them. Normally Andy just sort of uploads the majority of his track day footage as private, because it's for his own consumption really, and subsequently he doesn't edit them, he just puts all the raw footage on from the moment the camera is switched on to the moment it's switched off. So what I will do is I will link them in the bottom with a little note of time references which, you know, sort of reference what I'm talking about in this video. It's a bit of a shit way of doing it, I know, and I do apologise for not taking my cameras, and I'm kind of kicking myself now. I really wasn't bothered at the time because I quite enjoyed just riding for me. The thing with having a camera on is it kind of makes you feel like someone's looking over your shoulder. You know, no one performs best under scrutiny. Well, I don't anyway. So it kind of did feel nice not having the cameras on, but I'm now very regretful because I did ride particularly well. So anyway, about the track day. Silverstone is or Silverstone GP as it's called, is a particularly, like at the minute, it's the biggest track in the UK. It's the biggest, widest, it's the one that the Formula 1 uses when it comes to the UK, and it's also the one that MotoGP uses. World Superbike visit there, you know, so it is at the minute the main circuit in the UK. There is one being built in Wales, I believe, which will surpass it and probably will become the next big track. However, Silverstone, my first ride on that track, and it's a pretty amazing track, which I mean, it's massive, it's huge, it's wide, there's multiple lines you can take, there's runoff everywhere. Oh shit, this is it riding at night, you can't see the corners tightening on you, especially when you're trying to concentrate on doing a vlog as well. Oh well. So yeah, so Silverstone, it has a variety of different lines you can take, and you can really get on the power, and there's certain parts of it, especially the Hangar Straight, where you can really take these bikes up to their sort of almost theoretical maximum. In the fastest I when I dared to glance down at my speedometer, which is still on the 2007 R1, it was showing 171 as my terminal speed at one point. So pretty quick, pretty damn quick. But nonetheless, a lot of the riders there I was speaking to don't seem to like Silverstone very much, for the same reasons that there are too many lines and it is too wide. I think a lot of track day riders that I've been speaking to tend to really like these sort of narrow, old sort of racetracks in the UK, like Rockingham and Snetterton and places like that. I've never been to either of them, so I don't know. I mean, I've only been on, 4 tracks, so my knowledge is not vast. But nonetheless, because I didn't have my camera on, I found myself riding sort of much more, not so much relaxed, because you've obviously got to be massively focused when you're caning I think 170, 200 horsepower motorbike round a premier racetrack amongst other people. So yeah, I was very focused, but because I wasn't on with the camera on, it kind of took a little bit of pressure off me. Now, what I've been concentrating on since my last track day is because the way I learn, and this is how I tend to learn, especially practical skills. People out there might be the same. If you've got like a new skill that you're wanting to hone and improve, I find the best way to do that is after you've done it a few times and you've got the general gist of how it works, is one, watch other people do it, and by that I mean watch superbike racers and watch MotoGP, see how they do it and try and copy them a little bit. And second, creatively visualize how you are going to do it. Now, after my last track day, especially after the last track day I did on this one, with its supersonic rider aids and trail brake, corner ABS and all that, I did actually trail brake a little bit with this one at Donington, and I'd read some articles about trail braking, because I've always felt that the thing that lets me down is I brake, I'm off the brakes too early and I brake too early. So I thought, no. And I'd watched some videos about trail braking, and it seems that it's not quite the death imminent tactic that it appeared to be in my mind. That if you trail brake, you're going to die. That's kind of how my brain kind of works. It's the same with wheelies. Because I fell off my bike wheeling it when I was 20 years old, I've got this mental block now where wheelies equal falling off, and I can't get over it. So I don't wheelie, or a little tiny power wheelies, but not big up, clutch up, balancing point buggers, you know. So after watching and reading a little bit about trail braking, I thought that, right, I'm going to implement a little bit of trail braking into my ride in this track session, and my god, it works. It really does work. I ended up finding myself, I mean, alright, it was a track I've never been on before. I would have liked to have done it at Donington, so I know, because I know all my braking markers are at Donington. But Silverstone, whole new entity. I don't know the track. I didn't actually learn it all day. It's such a big, long track, and it will take me 2 or 3 more visits there before I have got a formula for each corner like I do at Donington. However, that being said, from starting off on the sighting laps and absolutely tiptoeing it around, I was soon getting on it a bit. I mean, I was in the intermediates group, and your boy here is a fully fledged intermediate track rider now. I completely hold my own in the intermediate group. You know, yeah, I get passed occasionally, but I pass more people than pass me. You know, and I'm up there with it, and I feel really confident now about riding in the intermediate group. So much so that maybe next year, we'll see how it goes. I might actually, towards the end of next year, if it goes as well as this year, I might actually have a do in the fast group. I know I'm giving it big talk there, but I can kind of, especially on this thing here, if I take this on track, I kind of feel comfortable riding this in a fast group. Well, projecting myself forward, creatively visualising, as I was saying earlier. So anyway, to get back to the point, I do actually feel that my speed is now, or my lap times are coming down, because I'm taking corners a lot quicker, because I'm braking later, I'm trail braking into the corner, you know, so basically, you know, you're heading into a corner. Sort of this corner here isn't exactly a good idea, but so, you know, you're off the power, you're on the brakes, you're hard on the brakes, and as you reach your peeling point, I'm not demonstrating on the road here, by the way, but as you reach your peeling point, you just start to ease off the brakes. Keep them on, but you're just not full on them anymore, with your back wheels like skittering off the tarmac and the back end's trying to back its way in. You're just easing it off as you're peeling in, and your bike starts to roll over. You know, you're already off your seat. You're leaning the top half of your body into the corner. You're hanging off. Your knees going out, and just kind of, I find at the point where you're putting your knee out, just as you're sort of heading towards the apex, that's when you come off the brake fully. Then at that point, your throttle's fully closed. And then just as you sort of as you hit your apex, the throttle goes on slightly just to maintain, and then the other side of it is that I've then, as the bike's coming up, I've been getting on the throttle a lot earlier, and you could see the evidence of it in my tyre on the bike. You could see that there was a scuff, especially on the right hand side where there wasn't before, because I'm getting on the power. So the back wheel is trying to spin up as I'm still leaned over, but even though it's, you know, there's no traction control on my other R1, so I must have been getting it right, because I didn't feel the back skipping about or sliding out, exiting corners. So I don't know, the formula for me seems to work. That basically brake a hell of a lot later, and turning a little bit earlier as well, just holding a little bit of brake on, so you're not squaring the corners off as much and losing all that momentum. You know, it's more of a racing tactic, is squaring the corners off, in my opinion. So yeah, and Andy, my track Dave buddy, he was following me and videoing a lot of this. Now, he was being very, very kind to me. He was saying that, you know, that he was actually struggling to keep up with me, and that I was out braking him in certain corners and such. I think he was being a polite person. I think he was being a bit kind. But I will accept his kindness, because he was behind me. There's some footage that you can watch. Unfortunately, it's mounted on his yoke, on his tank, sorry. So you don't get to see a great amount of me. But as I said, I'll put some time markers on the comments below to that you can spool through forward to just look at just how I appear at some times to surge ahead going into a corner. I seem to gap him a little bit as I'm heading into the corners. That's because Andy was saying it's because I was braking later than he was. You know, whether or not he was being kind to me, because in the afternoon basically he seemed to get his mojo and he passed me and was gone, and I didn't see him again. Because there's one thing that I'm still not very good at on track, and that's overtaking people. What it is, I inherently don't trust everyone else who's in front of me. So I'm trying to spot a gap, and you'll see a gap and people just shoot through it. I don't know, I'm seeing consequences that probably don't exist. I'm seeing people suddenly making a turn in or running out wide or something and causing me to make contact and crash. And especially on a track like Silverstone, there's so many opportunities to pass. So that is something I do need to work on, is overtaking, because I'm not very good at it. But the rest of it seems to be coming together. I have absolutely no qualms anymore about pinning these bikes fully to the lock stops and just letting them go, because on the track it just feels so much more safer than on a road. It's amazing how much safer it feels. The fact that you're doing, like at Silverstone, 170 miles an hour, braking into Stowe corner from 170, where you pop up into 170 miles an hour air, and the bike fully brakes on. You can feel the back wheel skipping off the tarmac, and your suspension's fully compressed, and you bang, bing, bing, bing down through the gears at the same time. And it's just such a wonderful feeling, it really is. I thoroughly enjoyed the whole year basically, because, you know, I started off last year. I did an intermediate track day on my Toronto, completely outclassed by everyone on track, looked ridiculous, went pootled around like a Sunday rider, and that's when I realised I needed to do this thing properly. And that's when I got my 2007 R1 track bike, and through the year I've put a lot of effort into it, and I've got myself to a point where I feel, yeah, I'm getting there. I'm actually getting there. For the first time in 30 years of riding, I actually feel like I've got a modicum of skill. All of a sudden, it's just suddenly coming together nicely. There's certain parts of the track that I just couldn't get right all day. There's a particularly tricky set of S's at Club Corner. It's decelerating from a moderately fast straight. So you're touching 140, hard on the brakes into a 90-degree left and straight into a curving right. And I got that wrong every single lap. And I'm hoping I can find an example of that on Andy's footage, which I will make a time note for. So yeah, so I do apologise that you can't see any footage of me riding from my bike, because I'm a dickhead and I forgot my cameras. But no, it was a good end to my track day year. I'm not going to do any more this year now, as much as I'd like to. It's just getting too chilly in the UK. The tracks are all cold. I mean, even now today, these roads are sketchy as anything. They're very greasy, and I'm doing them on a unscrubbed back tyre. Although it has now done 50 on the centre line, so I'll start scrubbing the chicken strips off next few roundabouts I see. So anyway, yeah, so that's it for track riding for 2016, unfortunately. I wish it wasn't. I wish I could do one every single week, but they are quite expensive. And the reason why I've not done other things, like I wanted to go do some touring on the Tiger Explorer, is pretty much because I've been spending all my money doing track days. It's not a cheap hobby, it really isn't. I mean, I bought a track bike to do it on, tyres, the actual days, travelling around, the fuel, maintenance, it all really racks up. It's not a hobby to be done on a shoestring, put it that way. So I want to do more of it next year. So over the winter, when my bikes are away and I'm in hibernation, I'm going to be saving all my pennies up to put in a fund for my track day shenanigans next year. So that should be good. But anyway, it's not quite the end of the motorbike season for me. I've got about another month left on the R1 here, and I absolutely promise, and I'm probably going to do it next week because the weather's looking pretty stable up there. I am going to take my Triumph Tiger up to Scotland for a couple of days. I've scoped out a route. I'm just going to look for some cheap overnight accommodation somewhere, and I'll do a bit of a 2-day travel log up there, because I have promised myself to go up there. I actually did do a video where I went for a ride up to the Kielder Forest on the Tiger for the day. I've made 2 attempts to edit that video, and on both occasions it's the program Power Director has crashed while I've been doing it and I've lost the edit. It's not a very interesting video, so maybe it's trying to tell me something, so I think I'll sack that one. But I shall do another one on the Triumph Tiger. I will go for a nice long ride up into the Scottish Highlands like I've been promising myself. And like I say, next week is looking favourable for that because the weather is forecast to be reasonably stable. So fingers crossed. But anyway, well, it's now daylight, and I'm going to go and continue the rest of my Saturday morning ride on the R1. And I shall leave you here. So, stay tuned to V4 everyone, and as always, ride safe, and I shall see you later. Adios!